Chapter 1. The Currency of Need. Why Chasing Destroys Your Value. You know the physical sensation that hits right at the base of your throat when your screen lights up, and it is not the name you were waiting for. You sent a message 4 hours ago. A simple, casual question, carefully edited so you wouldn't sound overly eager. But as the minutes ticked by, your mind began constructing scenarios. Did you phrase it incorrectly? Did you sound too forward? You open the conversation window again. You check the timestamp. You see the indicator that shows they were active 3 minutes ago, yet your dialogue sits unanswered. Then comes the impulse, the restless, anxious urge to send a follow-up, to clarify what you meant, to make a joke that smooths over the imagined awkwardness, to close the distance at any cost. Take your hand off the glass. What you are feeling in that moment is not affection, loyalty, or good communication. It is the acute distress of an emotional beggar realizing his bowl is empty. Most people spend years believing they are simply unlucky in their relationships. They tell themselves that people are cold, that genuine loyalty is rare, or that modern connection is broken. But look honestly at the pattern of your life. When someone pulls away, what is your instinctive reaction? You lean forward. When someone becomes quiet, you become louder. When someone gives you 50% of their presence, you compensate by offering 150% of yours. You believe that by demonstrating endless warmth, absolute availability, and tireless effort, you will eventually convince the other person to recognize your worth. In reality, you are doing the exact opposite. You are triggering one of the most ruthless laws of human psychology, the pursuer-distancer loop. When you chase someone, you are not communicating love or dedication. You are broadcasting a lack of options. You are declaring to the other person, in language clearer than any spoken word, that your time has no market value, your attention is an infinite commodity, and your self-respect is entirely up for negotiation. Human beings do not value what exists in endless supply. Imagine an asset that floods the market without restriction. The moment supply vastly exceeds demand, its perceived value collapses towards zero. Your attention functions under the exact same economic principle. When you make yourself instantly accessible at all hours, when you rearrange your schedule to accommodate someone else's casual afterthought, and when you eagerly offer reassurance to people who have done nothing to earn it, you make yourself cheap. You thought being endlessly agreeable was a virtue. You thought saying yes to every demand made you indispensable. But look at where it has brought you. Consider the man in an office who wants so desperately to be liked by his peers. When an extra assignment lands on the table late on a Friday afternoon, he jumps to take it. When colleagues ask for favors, he drops his own critical work to assist them. He laughs too quickly at mediocre jokes and apologizes when people bump into him in the corridor. He believes he is building goodwill, yet when promotions are decided, his name is never mentioned. When important strategic decisions are made behind closed doors, he is not in the room. He is treated as a utility, not a leader. Why? Because the room senses that his actions are driven by an underlying panic for acceptance rather than a commitment to high standards. Meanwhile, observe the colleague who speaks infrequently, maintains a firm boundary around his focus hours, and delivers high-caliber work without seeking constant applause. When he speaks, the room quiets down. His scarcity creates weight. His refusal to chase consensus gives his presence gravity. This dynamic is even more severe in romantic and personal relationships. When you sense someone drifting, your anxiety misinterprets their distance as a signal to try harder. You send the paragraph explaining how much they mean to you. You initiate every phone call. You offer excuses for their lack of effort. You tell yourself, if I just show them how steady I am, they will come around. They will not. Every time you step into the space someone created by pulling away, you rob them of the opportunity to miss you. More importantly, you place an emotional burden on their shoulders. Neediness is heavy. It forces the other person into the uncomfortable position of being responsible for your emotional stability. When someone realizes that your mood for the day depends entirely on whether they smile at you, their natural biological instinct is to recoil. The deeper problem is that you're using other people as an emotional prosthetic. You chase because you cannot bear the thought of what happens if you stop. If you put the phone down, if you stop initiating, and if you cease overcompensating, you are forced to face an uncomfortable possibility they might not reach back, and that possibility terrifies you. It terrifies you because you have tied your sense of identity to external validation. You have treated other people's attention as proof that you exist and matter. Therefore, losing their attention feels like losing yourself. This is where the transformation must begin. You must understand the attention economy law. Attention is your life's most sacred, non-renewable asset. Every unit of cognitive energy you spend analyzing someone's cold behavior, composing messages that were never earned, or wondering why you were excluded from a gathering is energy stripped directly away from your craft, your physical strength, your financial independence, and your character. When you spend your currency on people who treat you as an option, you bankrupt your own future. From this moment on, you will operate under a new framework, the rule of equal reciprocity. This is not a game of calculated manipulation. It is an operational standard of radical self-respect. Equal reciprocity means you match investment for investment, step for step, and silence for silence. If you take a step forward and the other person remains stationary, you do not take a second step. You do not explain yourself. You do not ask why they didn't move. You stop. And if they take a step backward, you take 5 steps backward and return your entire focus to your own construction. Stop double texting. Stop offering unsolicited explanations for your life choices. Stop showing up to places where your presence is merely tolerated rather than celebrated. When you cease chasing, you will initially feel a wave of phantom discomfort. The silence will feel unnatural. You will be tempted to reach out just to relieve the tension. Resist it. That tension is the breaking of an emotional addiction. Notice what happens when you hold your ground. When you withdraw your desperate energy and reinvest it into your own body, your work, and your mind, you stop leaking value. You become self-contained. You become an individual who possesses his own center of gravity. People will notice the shift. Some will be confused. Some will suddenly reach out, curious why their source of free, unearned validation has gone dark. Do not celebrate too quickly. Stopping the chase is merely the first baseline defense. Because once you stand completely still and refuse to run after anyone, a far more challenging reality will emerge. The people you spent years tolerating and accommodating will realize they can no longer use you as an emotional mirror. And when they realize that, their behavior will change. What do you do when the people you already let close to you begin to turn cold, critical, or resentful the exact moment you decide to grow? Chapter 2. The Mirror of Betrayal. What fake friends and silent exits are telling you. There is a particular kind of silence that cuts deeper than an outright argument. It happens in the middle of a casual gathering or inside a group chat you have shared for years. You mention a project you have been quietly working on. You share that you have stopped drinking, started waking up at 5 in the morning to train, or decided to invest every spare dollar into learning a high-income skill instead of blowing it on weekend entertainment. You expect a nod of encouragement. You expect the people who call you their brother, their teammate, or their closest friend to celebrate your step forward. Instead, the room shifts. The atmosphere thickens with an uncomfortable, hollow quiet. Eyes glance away, someone clears their throat. Then comes the subtle, sarcastic deflection. Look at you, Mr. Disciplined. Let's see how long this phase lasts. Or worse, a complete, dismissive subject change. Over the weeks that follow, the invitations to hang out become sporadic. The responses to your messages turn brief, cold, and flat. You notice they still get together, but somehow your name slipped off the invite list. Your first instinct is confusion, quickly followed by a dull, aching sense of personal injury. You ask yourself what you did wrong. Did you sound arrogant? Did you neglect them? Did your sudden change in lifestyle make them feel abandoned? You replay your conversations, searching for the moment you fractured the bond, and you feel a burning urge to smooth things over, to downplay your ambitions just to make everyone feel comfortable again. Stop looking for the flaw within yourself. What you are experiencing is not a failure of loyalty on your part. It is an unmasking. Most friendships are not built on shared destiny, mutual elevation, or high character. They are built on shared convenience, shared proximity, and, most frequently, shared dysfunction. Think about how your circle formed. You bonded over complaining about your employer, killing 4 hours a night playing video games, gossiping about people who were not in the room, or getting numb on Friday nights to forget how little progress you made during the week. In that environment, everyone signed an unwritten, unspoken contract. We will all agree to stay average together so none of us has to feel the pain of our wasted potential. As long as you remained inside those boundaries, you were safe. You were the reliable friend who validated their stagnation. The exact second you decide to break that contract, you shatter the collective illusion. People do not resent your weaknesses, they tolerate your flaws because your flaws comfort them. Your mistakes make them feel better about their own indiscipline. What they cannot tolerate is your growth. When you begin demanding more of yourself, your daily discipline acts as an unavoidable, high-definition mirror placed directly in front of their face. Your early mornings highlight their wasted hours. Your clean habits expose their addictions. Your financial discipline shines a harsh spotlight on their impulse spending. They have two choices. They can either confront their own inadequacy and rise to meet you, which requires immense friction and discomfort, or they can minimize, mock, and distance themselves from you to protect their fragile ego. Almost everyone chooses the second path. This is the mirror principle. People's reactions to your elevation have nothing to do with who you are, and everything to do with the unresolved guilt they carry about who they have failed to become. Understand this mechanism clearly so you can permanently strip the emotion out of betrayal. Consider a practical reality in the professional world. Imagine two colleagues who have worked at the same desk for 3 years. They have spent countless lunch hours bonding over how unfair the company is, how bad the management is, and how impossible it is to get ahead. They consider themselves inseparable allies against a broken system. Then, one of them stops complaining. He starts staying an hour late to master data architecture. He asks for difficult assignments. He polishes his presentations. Within 8 months, he earns a senior promotion. Watch what happens to the remaining colleague. Does he ask his old friend for a roadmap on how he studied? Does he seek advice on how to improve his own output? Almost never. Instead, he sits in the break room muttering that his friend sold out, that he kissed up to management, and that success changed him. Nothing changed about the man except his competence. But that competence was an unbearable verdict on the colleague who stayed behind. Betrayal, abandonment, and fading connections are not personal tragedies. They are diagnostic data. When someone walks out of your life because you refuse to remain small, they are handing you a gift wrapped in disappointment. They are showing you that their loyalty was contingent upon your stagnation. Continuing to chase them, apologize to them, or lower your standards to keep them comfortable is an act of self-mutilation. You must stop performing CPR on relationships that died the moment you chose to evolve. Starting today, you will conduct a cold, emotionless relational audit. Look at the 5 to 10 people who occupy the majority of your time, communication, and thoughts. Categorize every single one of them without sentimentality into 3 distinct buckets. The anchors, these are the individuals who only reach out when they want to complain, drink, escape, or pull you back into old behavioral loops. When you share a goal, they highlight the risks and mock the ambition. Their presence leaves you mentally depleted and off-center. The mirrors, these are neutral, casual acquaintances. They don't actively sabotage you, but they don't elevate you either. They are pleasant colleagues, workout spotters, or distant contacts. They reflect whatever environment they are in. The propellers, the rarest category. These are individuals who hold themselves to elite standards. When you win, they demand to know how you can take it further. When you slip, they call you out with direct, unapologetic honesty. They do not compete with you in petty games. They challenge you to sharpen your blade against theirs. Your operational mandate is simple. Cut the line to the anchors immediately. You do not need to stage a dramatic confrontation. You do not need to send a breakup message or announce your departure. You simply close the valve of your energy. Stop initiating. Stop sharing your plans. Stop showing up to environments designed to keep you sedated. Match their silence with an absolute, unshakable focus on your own building. When you execute this audit, an overwhelming sense of clarity will replace the bitter sting of betrayal. You will stop viewing lost friendships as a personal deficiency and start seeing them as necessary shedding. The tree does not mourn the dead leaves. It drops in autumn. It drops them so it can survive the winter and produce new growth in the spring. Yet as you cut the anchors and step away from the false warmth of low-standard connections, a sudden, heavy silence will fall over your life. The notifications will stop buzzing. The weekend noise will evaporate. You will walk into your room, look around, and realize that nobody is calling, nobody is checking in, and you are standing entirely on your own. This quietness is the exact point where most men panic, break their resolve, and run straight back into toxic rooms just to hear background noise. Can you survive the empty room, or will the silence break you before you even begin? Chapter 3. The Void of Solitude. Confronting the silence. You run from it. Is 7 o'clock on a Friday evening. You close the front door behind you, drop your keys onto the table, and the sound echoes through the walls. The apartment is entirely still. There is no dinner waiting, no incoming phone calls, and no plans on your calendar. The only sound in the entire space is the low, steady hum of the refrigerator. Notice what your hands do in the next 5 seconds. Almost entirely on autopilot, your fingers reach into your pocket. You pull out your phone, you unlock the screen, swipe through 3 different applications you checked 10 minutes ago, close them, open a streaming service, and turn on the television just so a human voice fills the background. Why did you do that? You were not looking for critical information. You were not responding to an urgent family emergency. You were performing an unconscious emergency evacuation from your own presence. The quiet room terrified you. Most people will go to extraordinary lengths to avoid spending 10 consecutive minutes alone with their own undivided consciousness. They will endure toxic partners, tolerate dead-end jobs, keep insulting acquaintances in their contacts, and drown their senses in an endless conveyor belt of short-form videos, podcasts, and alcohol, anything to prevent the room from going completely silent. They call this condition loneliness. They describe it as a cold, hollow ache, a feeling of being abandoned, forgotten, or cast aside by the world. Look beneath that label. What you call loneliness is rarely a craving for other people. It is a profound panic caused by the sudden arrival of your own unvarnished reality. When you are surrounded by noise, when you are talking, scrolling, arguing, or performing for a crowd, your brain's default mode network is suppressed by external stimuli. The noise acts as an emotional anesthetic. It numbs the awareness of your undisciplined habits. It drowns out the quiet shame of unfulfilled potential. It conceals the painful realization that behind your public persona you do not have a concrete philosophy, a disciplined body, or a clear vision for your life. The exact second the external noise stops, the anesthetic wears off. In the silence, the questions you have spent months evading come rushing to the surface with crushing weight. Who are you when no one is watching? What have you actually built with your hours? Why are you so terrified of your own thoughts? Because you do not have answers to those questions, the silence feels unbearable. You interpret that internal fiction as proof that being alone is inherently dangerous, and so you scramble back into the nearest distraction to make the interrogation stop. Understand the fundamental distinction between 2 entirely different states of existence: loneliness versus solitude. Loneliness is the desperate agony of a dependent mind. It is a deficiency state where an individual feels incomplete, fragile, and hollow because he is looking outward for someone to give him an identity he has failed to construct for himself. Solitude, by contrast, is the generative laboratory of character. It is the deliberate, self-contained state of an individual who has chosen to turn his back on external theater in order to confront, audit, and rebuild his own operating system. Loneliness is the agony of being separated from others. Solitude is the immense strength of being reunited with yourself. History's most dangerous thinkers, tacticians, and builders did not stumble into greatness in the middle of a noisy crowd. They understood that every meaningful transformation requires an extended period of voluntary isolation. Consider an athlete preparing for a world title fight. He does not spend the 3 months prior to battle socializing at dinners or checking in with casual acquaintances. He retreats into the mountains. He cuts off communication. He wakes up in the freezing dark when no cameras are running, runs up steep inclines alone, and hits the heavy bag until his hands bleed in a gym with the doors locked. The crowd only sees the 3 minutes under the arena lights where his hand is raised in victory. They call it raw talent. But the victory was not won under the lights. The victory was forged in the cold, silent crucible where he endured the brutal reality of his own physical limitations day after day without applause. If you cannot sit alone in a room without reaching for a digital pacifier, you will never build anything of enduring weight. When you run from solitude, you remain a psychological hostage to anyone willing to give you their attention. You will accept low wages, bad friendships, and disrespectful relationships simply because the alternative, sitting alone with your own mind, feels too threatening to endure. The moment you make peace with the empty room, you become dangerous. When you genuinely enjoy your own company, nobody can manipulate you with the threat of exclusion. You cannot be blackmailed with isolation once you have turned isolation into your personal fortress. Starting today, you will stop fleeing from the quiet. You will convert the void into a disciplined protocol. Implement the daily isolation protocol. Every day, you will schedule a non-negotiable 30 to 60-minute block of total sensory and social isolation. During this block, no smartphone, not on silent, not face down on the desk physically located in another room. No headphones, music, audiobooks, or ambient white noise. No open browser tabs or background screens. Only a pen, a blank notebook, and your own mind. Take a seat, look directly at the blank page. In the first 10 minutes, your nervous system will revolt. Your mind will demand dopamine. It will scream that you are wasting time, that you have an important message to check, or that you need to get up and find something to eat. Do not move. Observe the restlessness as a third-party witness. Once the panic subsides, the real work begins. Use this silence to conduct a daily diagnostic check. Where did you leak mental energy today? What uncomfortable truth about your habits are you avoiding? What standard did you compromise just to avoid social tension? What are the 3 non-negotiable actions that must be executed tomorrow? When you complete this practice consistently, a profound shift occurs. The empty room ceases to feel like a prison. It becomes your command center. You begin to look forward to the silence because it provides the clarity, focus, and strategic alignment that the noisy world constantly attempts to steal from you. You will realize that solitude is not the absence of life. It is the presence of reality. Now that you no longer fear the silence, you hold a massive advantage over a world addicted to constant validation. But stepping into the silence is only the foundation. To build an extraordinary life, you must now learn how to turn this silence into an active, aggressive strategy. You must learn why the most lethal move you can make in a noisy, performative culture is to voluntarily vanish from the map. It is time to master the art of disappearing. Chapter 4. The Art of Disappearing. Why going dark is your ultimate strategic move. Look at how the average person attempts to change their life. The moment an ambitious thought enters their mind, their first instinct is to broadcast it. They open their camera, post a clean photo of their running shoes, and declare to the world, starting the journey today, day 1 of getting shredded. Or they sit across from a casual friend at a coffee shop and spend 45 minutes animatedly detailing the revolutionary business they plan to launch next month. The people watching hit the like button. Their friend nods, smiles, and says, "That's incredible, man. I'm proud of you." In that brief instant, a warm wave of satisfaction rushes through their nervous system. They feel accomplished. They feel important. They feel like a builder. Yet 2 weeks later, the running shoes are gathering dust in the back of the closet. The domain name for the business sits unregistered, and they are right back on the couch scrolling through other people's lives. Why does this happen with predictable regularity? It happens because they fell directly into the performance trap. When you announce your goals to the world, your brain experiences what psychologists call premature cognitive closure. Because the human brain struggles to differentiate between vivid social praise and actual physical execution, the verbal validation you receive from announcing an ambition triggers an immediate dopamine payoff. You trick your reward system into feeling as though the victory has already been achieved. The hunger vanishes before the work even begins. Understand the mechanics of personal energy through the closed pressure cooker model. Dissatisfaction with your current circumstances, your lack of discipline, your physical weakness, your financial stagnation is a form of internal psychological steam. It is supposed to build up inside your core until the pressure becomes unbearable. That intense, uncomfortable pressure is the exact fuel required to wake up at 5 in the morning, endure physical exhaustion, and sit through 3 hours of complex, frustrating cognitive work. Every time you share your plans, talk about your routines, or post your progress online, you open the relief valve. You let the steam hiss out into the atmosphere for cheap applause. You feel temporary relief, but you have drained the internal pressure required to turn the heavy turbine of real transformation. You dissipate your power before it ever turns into kinetic action. Beyond the neurological cost, constant visibility drains your cognitive bandwidth. When your life is an open broadcast, you live in a perpetual state of split attention. Half of your mind is doing the work, the other half is curating how the work appears to an audience of indifferent observers. You wonder how you look while training. You worry about what people will think when your business hits a temporary bottleneck. You invite unsolicited opinions, passive-aggressive skepticism, and casual doubt into your mental territory before your foundation is strong enough to withstand it. The solution is not to speak louder or promise harder. The solution is to disappear entirely. Going dark is the deliberate, temporary withdrawal of your physical, digital, and emotional presence from non-essential rooms. It is the tactical decision to sever all performance and retreat into total, unrecorded obscurity. Look at how genuine breakthroughs occur in the real world. Consider a programmer aiming to build a complex software system that could change his financial reality forever. The amateur talks about his concept at tech meetups, updates his social media status with inspirational startup quotes, and spends weeks designing logos to show his peers. He expends all his creative capital on the theater of entrepreneurship. The master does the exact opposite. He declines the weekend invites. He stops answering casual group chats. He deletes social media apps from his phone. For 6 months, his circle has no idea where he is or what he is doing. He sits in a Spartan room, staring at raw code for 8 hours a day in total silence, iterating through hundreds of bugs that nobody will ever see. When he finally resurfaces, he is not holding a set of promises. He is holding a deployed, battle-tested product that generates real revenue. He doesn't need to convince anyone of his work ethic. The undeniable reality of what he built speaks with absolute authority. Silence creates mystique, protects focus, and builds leverage. When you are constantly available, predictable, and vocal, the world takes your presence for granted. But when you suddenly vanish from the social circuit, when your unearned opinions stop flooding the timeline, and your daily routines go completely dark, a subtle, powerful shift occurs. People who once overlooked you begin to wonder. Your absence creates gravity where your chatter created noise. More importantly, working in obscurity changes your relationship with the work itself. When no one is watching, you cannot lie to yourself. You cannot train for the camera. You can only train for the mirror. You cannot study for the appearance of intelligence. You can only study for the acquisition of competence. You learn to love the raw, unglamorous friction of daily labor for its own sake. Starting today, you will initiate the 30-day strategic blackout protocol. Rule 1: zero external declarations. You are forbidden from speaking about your new diet, your workout regimen, your savings plan, or your creative projects to anyone who is not an operational partner. Kill the urge to preview your future. Rule 2. Digital ghosting. Remove all social platforms from your primary device that exists solely for social consumption and broadcasting. Cut your digital footprint to the absolute minimum required for basic utility and employment. Rule 3. The fortress schedule. Take the 2 to 3 hours every evening you previously spent socializing, scrolling, or consuming entertainment, and lock them behind an unbreakable door. Use these hours for pure, unrecorded building physical conditioning, skill acquisition, or strategic planning. Rule 4. Relentless output. Zero evidence. Let the only record of your work exist in the private ledger of your own results. When you step into this dark room, an incredible surge of quiet excitement will take over. For the first time in your life, you are not living for the validation of an audience. You are building an empire in the shadows, laying heavy bricks that no one knows exist. Enjoy the quiet. Relish the obscurity. Let the world assume you are falling behind, lost, or standing still. Yet, as your 30-day blackout takes hold, a new friction will inevitably arrive. When people notice your sudden absence, their entitlement will flare up. Acquaintances, friends, and family will demand to know where you went, why you aren't coming to dinner, why you aren't drinking, and who you think you are. They will try to pull you into debates, demanding that you explain and justify your new boundaries. If you give in to the urge to defend your choices, you will lose your power before the foundation is even set. How do you look someone dead in the eye, say no, and refuse to offer a single word of justification? Can you survive the empty room, or will the silence break you before you even begin? Chapter 5. Zero justification. The freedom of never explaining yourself. You are sitting at a dinner table or standing in a break room, and someone offers you a drink, a slice of cake, or an invitation to an event you have zero intention of attending. You say, "No thanks, I'm passing tonight." Then comes the inevitable question, delivered with a mix of curiosity and subtle challenge. Why? What's going on with you lately? Notice what happens inside your body at that exact second. Your heart rate ticks upward, your throat tightens. Your brain immediately scrambles into high gear, drafting an elaborate defense brief. You hear yourself launch into a 3-minute monologue explaining that you have an early morning meeting, that you read an article about metabolic health, that you are trying to cut back for 30 days, and that you really hope they understand you aren't trying to be difficult. You talk until they finally nod and say, "All right, fair enough." You exhale, thinking you handled the situation smoothly. In reality, you just surrendered your authority. Why do you feel this frantic, desperate urge to defend your schedule, your diet, your ambitions, and your personal standards to people who have no investment in your future? The answer is uncomfortable. You are still operating like a child asking an adult for permission to exist. From childhood, you were conditioned to believe that any decision outside the group consensus requires an acceptable justification. If you didn't want to eat your vegetables, you needed an excuse. If you didn't want to attend school, you needed a doctor's note. If you wanted to leave the room, you had to ask. Without realizing it, you carried that childhood programming straight into your adult life. When you offer an unprompted explanation for your boundaries, you are not communicating effectively. You are subconsciously placing the other person on the judge's bench while you step down into the prisoner's box, desperately presenting evidence in the hope that they will grant you a verdict of approval. Every unsolicited "because" you attach to a boundary is a submissive bid for permission. Understand the power dynamics of human interaction. The moment you give a reason for your choice, you turn a non-negotiable standard into a debate topic. If you say, "I can't come to your party on Saturday because I have to wake up early to work on my project," what did you actually do? You handed them a puzzle to solve. They will immediately counter, "Just come for 2 hours. You can drink an energy drink in the morning. Don't be boring. You worked too hard anyway." Now you are trapped. You find yourself arguing about your sleep schedule and the viability of energy drinks instead of standing firmly on your decision. You opened the door to their negotiation because your explanation framed your priority as something that required their agreement to be valid. Contrast that with a sovereign statement framework. A sovereign individual understands a simple, immutable rule. A state of being requires no defense. When a sovereign man sets a boundary, he delivers a conclusion, not an opening argument. He does not invite a cross-examination because he does not recognize the other person's jurisdiction over his life. Consider how this plays out in the real world. Imagine a man who has decided to make a serious career pivot. He leaves a predictable, mediocre corporate role to build a specialized consultancy. His extended family gathers for a holiday dinner. An uncle who has spent 25 years complaining about the same dead-end job leans in and skeptically asks, "Isn't that risky? What if the economy tanks? What's your backup plan?" The insecure man leans forward, his voice rising in pitch. He explains the market research, cites industry statistics, details his 5-year projection, and tries to convince the uncle that his plan is mathematically sound. The uncle shakes his head, drops 2 cynical comments about inflation, and moves on, leaving the man feeling drained, insecure, and subtly doubting his own vision. The grounded builder handles the exact same question with absolute calm. He takes a slow sip of water, looks his uncle in the eye, and says with a relaxed smile, "It's definitely a serious challenge. I'm handling it." Then he stays silent. He offers no spreadsheets, no defenses, no pleas for understanding. The uncle probes for an opening, finds an impenetrable wall of calm composure, and is forced to drop the topic. Execution is an assertion of sovereignty. Explanation is an admission of doubt. You do not owe the world a running commentary on your personal evolution. You do not owe your old drinking buddies a lecture on the neuroscience of alcohol. You do not owe people who waste their potential a detailed defense of why you refuse to waste yours. When you stop explaining yourself, you will experience an immediate wave of social discomfort. People who are accustomed to manipulating you through guilt will become agitated. They will call you distant, cold, or arrogant. Let them. Their agitation is simply their realization that their control over your emotional state has been completely severed. They can no longer pull you into their theater because you refuse to read from their script. Starting today, you will install the closed-loop response system. Whenever you are faced with pressure, questions about your boundaries, or demands to justify your path, you will follow 3 strict rules. Rule 1, maximum 3 sentences. Deliver your response in 1 to 3 sentences, maximum. State the reality clearly, politely, and without editorial fluff. Example, "I won't be attending this year. Hope you all have a great time." Example, "I don't eat sugar anymore. Looks great though." Example, "I've reallocated my schedule. That project doesn't fit my priorities right now." Rule 2, ban the defensive because. Eliminate the word because from your boundary statements, unless providing essential operational or professional logistics. Rule 3, master the silent pause. When someone pushes back or asks an intrusive follow-up designed to make you defend yourself, do not fill the silence with nervous chatter. Look at them calmly, deliver a polite, closed statement, and allow the conversational silence to sit on their shoulders. Notice the extraordinary sense of internal peace that settles over your mind when you adopt this protocol. You no longer waste hours in the shower replaying arguments that never mattered. You no longer walk away from conversations feeling as though you sold off a piece of your integrity just to keep the peace. You become clear, predictable, and solid. People will realize that your no means no, and your yes is absolute. However, when you strip away the habit of explaining yourself and hold your ground in total silence, a deeper test will inevitably surface. When manipulative or insecure people realize they can no longer pull you into debates, they will change their tactics. They will bypass logic and go straight for your emotions. They will throw sharp insults, launch passive-aggressive attacks, or deliberately attempt to humiliate you in public to see if they can crack your composure. If your internal armor has holes, a single well-aimed comment will still have the power to destroy your peace for days. How do you make your nervous system completely untouchable to the opinions and attacks of other people? Chapter 6. Emotional Armor. How to become mentally untouchable. You are sitting in a conference room or standing among a group of acquaintances and someone drops a sharp, deliberate comment wrapped in a thin layer of humor. It is aimed directly at your recent efforts, your work, your discipline, or your quietness. A few people chuckle. Eyes shift to you to see how you will take it. Instantly, you feel the biochemical hijack take place. A sudden surge of heat rushes up your neck, your chest tightens, your breathing becomes shallow, and your pulse pounds in your ears. Within less than a second, your mind is flooded with sharp comebacks, defensive justifications, or paralyzing embarrassment. For the rest of the afternoon, the moment replays on an endless loop in your head. You cannot focus on your work. You cannot enjoy your evening. Your entire emotional state was completely derailed by 6 words spoken by someone you do not even respect. Ask yourself the brutal question, who is actually in control of your life? If a casual insult from an insecure acquaintance, a cold glance from a stranger, or a passive-aggressive remark from a family member can instantly dictate your heart rate, your mood, and your mental clarity, you are not free. You are a puppet whose emotional strings are handed to anyone willing to pull them. Most people believe their emotional volatility is an inevitable human reaction. They say, "He made me angry," or "Her comment ruined my day." Look closely at the grammar of those sentences. Notice how completely they outsource agency. When you say someone else made you feel a certain way, you are making an unconscious confession. You are admitting that your nervous system is open property, entirely unprotected by any internal filter. You are allowing the erratic behavior of others to write code directly into your psychological operating system. The hidden mechanism behind this vulnerability is the collapse of the gap between stimulus and response. When an insecure or undisciplined mind encounters an external provocation, the signal travels straight from perception to reaction without any intermediate audit. The brain interprets social disapproval as an existential threat to survival. In ancestral environments, being exiled by the tribe meant death. Your ancient biology still reacts to a sarcastic remark as if a predator just stepped out of the tree line. But you do not live in the wild, and an insecure colleague is not an apex predator. He is simply an individual projecting his own unresolved internal friction into the room. When someone launches an insult, passive aggression, or guilt trip at you, they are holding a burning coal of their own inadequacy. If you react with anger, defensiveness, or visible hurt, you reach out with both hands and grab that burning coal from them. You burn yourself, while they walk away relieved of their discomfort because they successfully provoked a reaction. You cannot control what people project. You cannot prevent people from being petty, envious, dishonest, or rude. What you can do is revoke their security clearance to your nervous system. This is where you construct the cognitive firewall. In computer security, a firewall is a network filter that inspects every incoming packet of data. If the packet is clean and verified, it is permitted through. If the packet contains malicious code, spam, or corrupt scripts, the firewall drops it silently at the perimeter before it ever touches the core server. Your mind requires the exact same architecture. From this moment forward, no incoming piece of human communication is permitted to reach your identity without passing through a cold analytical inspection. Whenever words, criticism, or emotional energy are directed at you, the cognitive firewall categorizes the data into one of 2 distinct categories: actionable operational data, objective, factual feedback regarding your work, habits, or execution, delivered by someone with proven competence and genuine investment in your growth. This data is extracted, analyzed without ego, and used to sharpen your blade. Emotional projection, sarcasm, guilt trips, unearned opinions, malice, or passive-aggressive bait designed to elicit a reaction. This data carries 0 operational value. It is recognized instantly as someone else's internal waste product and dropped at the perimeter. When you classify an attack as pure projection, it loses its power to hurt you. You do not get angry at a barking dog on the street because you understand that barking is simply what dogs do. It has nothing to do with your value as a human being. Why then do you get angry when an undisciplined person acts according to his own nature? Consider how this looks in a high-stakes scenario. Imagine a project lead presenting a complex, innovative proposal to a room of senior stakeholders. An insecure middle manager, feeling threatened by the initiative, interrupts with a condescending tone. This strategy is completely detached from reality. Clearly, you didn't think this through. The reactive man immediately flushes with anger. His voice rises. He starts arguing defensively. I spent 3 weeks on this data, and if you actually read page 4, you would see. The room perceives his defensiveness as weakness. The middle manager smiles. He successfully dragged the project lead into the mud and made him look unstable. Now observe the man with an active cognitive firewall. When the condescending comment lands, his pulse does not alter. He does not tense. He maintains direct, neutral eye contact with the manager for 3 unbroken seconds of silence. The silence forces the entire room to register the pettiness of the interruption. Then, in a slow, calm, and grounded vocal tone, he speaks. Which specific metric on page 4 do you find unviable? Look at what happened. He refused the emotional bait entirely. He stripped away the malice, isolated the operational topic, and handed the burden of proof straight back to the aggressor. The middle manager, unprepared for cold competence, stammers and retreats. The room registers who the real authority is. Composure is not the suppression of emotion. It is the absolute mastery of your response. To build this armor into your daily behavior, you must practice the 5-second stoic pause protocol. Whenever you encounter an insult, a sudden conflict, or an emotional trigger, execute these steps. Step 1, lock the mouth. When the trigger occurs, bite your tongue if necessary. Do not speak. Do not make a defensive facial expression. Do not cross your arms. Hold absolute physical stillness. Step 2, box breathe for 5 seconds. Inhale deeply into your belly for 2 seconds, hold for 1, and exhale slowly for 2. This conscious biological override interrupts the adrenaline cascade and forces your prefrontal cortex back online. Step 3, run the firewall audit. Silently ask, is this actionable operational data, or is this emotional projection? If it is projection, silently label it, this belongs to them. Step 4, lower your vocal floor. When you do respond, deliberately drop your vocal pitch by half an octave and speak 30% slower than your normal pace. Slow speech signals complete physiological control. Practice this daily on minor irritations. When someone cuts you off in traffic, when an internet comment is hostile, or when a family member tries to provoke you, treat every instance as a live fire drill for your armor. Over time, you will notice a miraculous change in your daily existence. The chaos of the outside world will continue to spin, but it will no longer touch the core of your mind. People will realize that they cannot bait you, cannot rattle you, and cannot manipulate you with guilt. You become a psychological fortress, impenetrable, calm, and sovereign. Yet silencing external critics and mastering external provocations is only half the battle, because once you seal the perimeter against other people's noise, a far more dangerous adversary is waiting in the quiet room, one you cannot walk away from. One who knows your deepest insecurities, and one who has been sabotaging your progress from the inside. What do you do when the most vicious, destructive voice in your life is the narrator living inside your own head? Chapter 7. The Architecture of Self-Respect. Building the Inner Companion. You set your alarm for 5 in the morning. You went to sleep with every intention of waking up, lacing your shoes, and putting in 2 hours of focused, uninterrupted work before the rest of the world stirred. But when the alarm sounds in the dark, your hand reaches out, hits snooze, and you sink back into the warmth of the mattress for another hour and a half. When you finally open your eyes, the sunlight is already cutting across the floor. Notice what happens in the first 60 seconds of your consciousness. You do not simply acknowledge that you missed the window. A vicious, familiar voice wakes up inside your head. It does not offer analysis. It delivers an execution. You pathetic piece of garbage, you did it again. You can't even wake up on time. You talk about big goals, but you're lazy, undisciplined, and weak. You will never change. For the rest of the morning, you carry that crushing emotional weight in your chest. You move through your day feeling defeated before you even sit down at your desk. Because you feel like a failure, you skip your workout in the afternoon, eat poor food for dinner, and scroll your phone late into the night. You tell yourself you are punishing yourself for your weakness, but in reality, you are spiraling deeper into paralysis. Ask yourself an honest question. If you spoke to a friend, a child, or a teammate the way you speak to yourself in private, how long would they stay by your side? They would run from you. They would call you abusive, toxic, and unhinged. Yet you subject your own mind to this psychological assault every single day, and then you genuinely wonder why you feel anxious, why you lack drive, and why you are terrified of sitting alone in an empty room. You are attempting to build an external empire of discipline while waging an internal civil war of self-disgust. Most ambitious people believe that brutal self-criticism is the secret to high performance. They hold on to the dangerous myth that if they stop berating themselves, they will become soft, complacent, and weak. They use shame as an emotional cattle prod, shocking themselves into temporary bursts of panic-driven productivity. Look at the mechanics of that strategy. It is unsustainable. Shame is a toxic, corrosive fuel source. When you attack your own character every time you fall short of a standard, your brain does not register motivation. It registers an internal threat. Your nervous system floods with cortisol. Over time, this creates an identity deficit. In your subconscious mind, a ledger is kept of every insult you throw at yourself. When you constantly tell yourself that you are unreliable, stupid, or broken, your brain accepts that verdict as the baseline reality. Then the law of self-consistency takes over. You cannot consistently act in a way that contradicts how you view your fundamental identity. If you believe you are inherently a failure, your mind will subconsciously orchestrate failures to prove that internal narrative correct. Self-confidence is not a loud, arrogant feeling you fabricate in front of the mirror. Confidence is simply the brain's internal trust ledger. When you make a promise to a friend and break it, their trust in you declines. When you make a promise to yourself and break it, your subconscious trust in your own capability declines. But when you follow that broken promise with a wave of self-loathing, you do not rebuild the trust, you destroy the foundation entirely. You must fire the abusive internal critic and replace him with the commander-soldier architecture. Think of a decorated, elite military commander leading his unit through a hostile operational environment. When a soldier in the ranks makes an error, when a perimeter is missed or a task falls behind schedule, how does an elite commander react? Does he throw a childish tantrum, scream personal insults, and tell the soldier that the entire mission is hopeless? Never. An elite commander understands that emotional panic destroys unit cohesion. Instead, the commander steps in with absolute cold composure. He does not sugarcoat the failure, nor does he ignore the breach of standard. He isolates the operational breakdown with surgical precision. Here is where the error occurred. Here is the vulnerability it created. Here is the tactical correction. Execute now. He holds the standard with zero compromise, but he protects the operational dignity of the unit. Your intellect must become the calm commander. Your daily habits and physical body are the soldier. When you fall short of a standard, the commander does not attack the soldier's identity. The commander audits the system. He looks at supply lines, sleep protocols, environmental triggers, and tactical friction. He identifies the point of failure, issues a corrective directive, and gets the soldier back into formation immediately without emotional baggage. Consider how this transforms real-world execution. Imagine a professional studying for a difficult qualification while working a demanding job. After 3 days of flawless evening study, he comes home on Thursday night exhausted, collapses onto the sofa, and wastes 3 hours watching mindless television, completely skipping his study block. The old, undisciplined pattern would be to spend Friday morning in a spiral of self-hatred. I'm too stupid for this industry. I have zero willpower. Why do I even bother trying? The emotional exhaustion of that guilt guarantees that Friday night is wasted as well. Now observe the man with an installed commander-soldier model. On Friday morning, he recognizes the lapse. He eliminates all emotional drama and conducts an objective tactical debrief. He asks 3 precise questions. What was the mechanical point of failure? Coming home and sitting on the sofa before opening the books. What was the biological trigger? Low blood sugar and skipping an afternoon meal, leaving zero cognitive energy at 7 p.m. What is the tactical fix? Eat a clean meal at 4 p.m. pack the study materials, and goes straight to the library after work instead of coming home. He logs the adjustment and executes Friday night with complete focus. He lost one evening of study, but he preserved his identity and upgraded his operational system. That is the architecture of self-respect. Starting tonight, you will install the daily internal operational debrief. At the end of every single day, before you close your eyes, take 5 minutes with your journal and complete this structured audit. 1. Standard audit. Where did I hold the line today? Acknowledge the micro-victories without arrogance. Logging kept promises rebuilds your internal trust ledger. 2. Fracture analysis. Where did the standard slip? State the fact plainly. Missed the 20-minute cardio session. 0 adjectives. 0 self-insults. No, because I'm lazy. Just the objective data point. 3. Root cause extraction. What environmental biological factor triggered the breach? E.g., poor sleep, disorganized workspace, emotional distraction. 4. Immediate tactical correction. What single adjustment will be made in tomorrow's schedule to ensure this breach cannot repeat? When you adopt this practice, you become your own greatest ally. Solitude stops feeling terrifying because your internal environment is no longer a hostile war zone. It is an orderly, disciplined, and supportive command center. You learn to respect yourself not because you are perfect, but because you are relentless in your standard and objective in your corrections. With your internal dialogue unified and your self-trust restored, you are finally equipped to take on the heavy, grueling work of long-term construction. Because self-respect is not merely how you speak to yourself, it is the concrete reality of what you do with your time when nobody is looking. What does your daily architecture actually look like during the unglamorous, repetitive hours of the day? It is time to look at the brutal mathematics of daily consistency. Chapter 8. Invisible Architecture, the Brutal Power of Daily Consistency. Look at the calendar of your life over the past 12 months. You can easily point to the dramatic moments, the intense conversations, the sudden career pivots, the weekend bursts of high motivation, or the nights you stayed up until 3 a.m. drafting grand blueprints for your future. You remember those moments vividly because they carried emotional weight. They felt important. They felt like turning points. Yet when you look at your actual position today, you realize nothing fundamental has changed. You are standing in the exact same economic bracket, holding the same physical body, and fighting the same psychological insecurities you were a year ago. Why do intense, passionate efforts evaporate into nothing? Because you're waiting for an epiphany to rescue a life that requires architecture. Most people treat personal transformation like an event. They believe greatness is unlocked through a sudden lightning strike of inspiration, a weekend seminar, a breakthrough book, or a massive surge of adrenaline that transforms everything overnight. They look at individuals who operate at the top of their fields and assume those figures were blessed with rare, effortless talent or cinematic strokes of genius. That is an illusion designed to comfort the undisciplined. Greatness is never an event. It is a mathematical equation. Every extraordinary outcome you see in the real world is simply the silent, invisible compounding of boring, unglamorous, repetitive actions executed in total privacy over years. There are no cameras in the room when a master hones his craft. There is no cheering crowd when a disciplined mind spends another isolated hour reviewing fundamentals. There is only the quiet friction of the material against the tool, repeated 10,000 times until the edges are sharp. To understand why your life is stagnant, you must look directly at the hidden sinkhole of your daily existence, the unstructured evening. Take a hard, unsparing inventory of what happens between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. on a standard Tuesday. You finish your employment or primary obligations. You walk through your front door. You are tired, your cognitive fuel tank is depleted, and the rest of the night stretches out before you as an open expanse. What do you actually do during those 3 hours? If you track your time with brutal honesty, you will see a familiar pattern: 40 minutes scrolling through feeds while eating dinner, an hour and a half watching a series or playing video games to decompress, 20 minutes wandering through the kitchen looking for stimuli, and 30 minutes of half-hearted task management before you collapse into bed. That is 3 hours a day, 21 hours a week, more than 1,000 hours a year. You are not failing because you lack raw intelligence or capability. You are failing because you are casually incinerating 1,000 hours of potential every 12 months on low-grade digital static, while you are burning your evening hours on temporary dopamine hits. A competitor somewhere in the world is locking his door, ignoring his phone, and investing those exact same 3 hours into compounding his skill set, sharpening his physical body, and building his economic engine. By the time December arrives, the gap between you is no longer a distance. It is a different reality. You cannot outtrain a chaotic schedule with occasional bursts of raw intensity. If you run a sprint once a month, you will still be left behind by the man who walks 5 miles in the right direction every single day without breaking into a panic. You must replace fragile motivation with an unbreakable operational structure, the iron triangle of construction. An enduring life is built on 3 structural pillars. If any one of these pillars is neglected, the entire architecture eventually buckles under pressure. Pillar 1. Physical sovereignty. The body is the vessel through which all thought, courage, and execution are channeled. If your physical vehicle is soft, inflamed, and undisciplined, your mind will inherit that weakness. Physical sovereignty is non-negotiable daily conditioning, resistance training, cardiovascular capacity, and ruthless nutritional control. Pillar 2. Cognitive depth. The ability to sit with a complex problem, read dense material, or acquire a high-level technical skill without being pulled away by the itch of distraction. Cognitive depth is forged through daily, uninterrupted deep work. Pillar 3. Economic competence. The mastery of a tangible, high-value craft that generates leverage in the real world. This is not passive daydreaming about wealth. It is the daily acquisition of hard execution skills, coding, financial analysis, copywriting, strategic design, or operational engineering. These pillars do not require massive, heroic gestures. They require mathematics. Consider the compounding power of microallocations. If you dedicate just 1 hour every single evening to deep cognitive work, you accumulate 365 hours of specialized focus in a year. That is equivalent to nearly 9 standard 40-week academic work weeks poured entirely into a single skill. Within 3 years, you possess more concentrated expertise in that domain than 95% of your peers will acquire in a lifetime. Yet, understanding the math is the easy part. The real friction occurs when you attempt to execute it in the real world. When you sit down at 7 p.m. to begin your cognitive or physical block, your brain will rebel. It will invent urgent distractions. It will whisper that you deserve a break, that you are too tired, or that you can start tomorrow when conditions are better. This is where you must stop treating your daily schedule as a flexible suggestion and anchor it into concrete reality. Starting today, you will design and install your 3-hour daily anchor routine. This routine is not a wish list of goals. It is a rigid, non-negotiable operational contract with yourself. You will map out those evening hours with the same precision an airline pilot uses for a pre-flight checklist. Hour 1. Physical sovereignty, the body anchor. No phone, no exceptions. Step into your training environment or lace your shoes for a rigorous physical session. Push the vessel until the mental static of the day is burned out of your system. Hour 2. Cognitive depth, the mind anchor. Clean the desk, lock the digital distractions away. Open your project or study material and execute 60 minutes of pure, unbroken, deep work. Move the needle on your chosen hard skill. Hour 3. Strategic integration and review, the economic anchor. Use the final hour to organize tomorrow's tactical priorities, review your execution ledger, or execute income-generating work related to your long-term craft. When you execute this routine for the first 3 days, it will feel heavy. Your old neural pathways will scream for the comfort of the television screen and the endless scroll. Push through the resistance. By day 14, the friction begins to drop. By day 30, the anchor routine ceases to feel like a grueling chore and transforms into your baseline identity. You begin to feel physically uncomfortable if you don't execute your blocks. You realize that peace does not come from doing nothing. Peace comes from knowing you executed your standard when you wanted to quit. You stop waiting for inspiration because you realize that discipline is an engine you can start in any weather, at any time, using nothing more than your own will. You begin to respect the mundane. You fall in love with the grey, unglamorous hours of the evening because you know that every quiet page read, every heavy bar lifted, and every line of code written in solitude is compounding into an untouchable advantage. Yet building routines and executing habits in isolation is only the preparation phase. At some point, your private labor must face the cold, demanding reality of the market. You cannot build a sovereign life on general routines alone. You need undeniable, high-stakes capability that commands respect in the real world. What separates a man who merely stays busy from a man who possesses true, inescapable leverage? It is time to look at the power of undeniable mastery. Chapter 9. The Competence Anchor. Why mastery destroys insecurity. You stand in front of the mirror, cross your arms and repeat the phrases you read online. I am confident, I am capable, nobody can touch me, I am a high-value man. You say the words with deliberate emphasis. You try to force the posture, inflate your chest, and project an aura of unshakable certainty to the world. But the second you step out of your apartment and walk into a room filled with competent people, the illusion evaporates. A technical question is asked. A complex problem arises on the whiteboard. A high-stakes situation unfolds where actual execution is required. Instantly, the forced confidence cracks. Your throat tightens. You shrink back into the shadows of the conversation, realizing with a sick feeling in your stomach that your affirmations were nothing more than empty paint applied over structural rot. Why do positive affirmations and motivational pep talks fail so completely under pressure? Because your brain is not an idiot. Your mind keeps a meticulous, uncorrupted historical ledger of your actual capabilities. It knows every shortcut you took, every difficult problem you avoided, every skill you pretended to understand, and every hour you wasted on superficial performance. No amount of self-talk can trick your subconscious into believing you are competent when your internal record proves you are a novice hiding behind bravado. True confidence cannot be manufactured through positive thinking. Confidence is not a feeling you conjure up. It is a mathematical byproduct. Confidence is the undeniable historical record of your own competence. Think about the individuals in your life who genuinely command a room without saying a word. They do not posture, they do not boast, they do not need to interrupt others to prove their worth. Observe a veteran surgeon walking into an operating theater, a master programmer reviewing a critical code base, or a seasoned craftsman inspecting a piece of structural timber. They are calm, quiet, and completely relaxed. Why? Because they have spent thousands of hours executing under friction. They have failed, iterated, failed again, and mastered the mechanics of their domain. Their confidence is anchored in reality. They know what they can do because they have already done it 100 times in the dark. If you lack real-world competence, you are forced to rely on social posturing. You become hypersensitive to criticism, defensive when challenged, and terrified of being exposed as a fraud, because deep down, you know you are standing on quicksand. The modern self-help industry tells you to love yourself, fake it until you make it, and repeat mantras until your self-esteem rises. This is a trap. It teaches you to focus on the symptom insecurity while ignoring the root cause, a total lack of hard, friction-heavy skills. You cannot think your way into a new identity. You have to build your way into one. Consider the profound difference between soft skills and hard skills. Soft skills are performative. They involve communication, optics, networking, and presentation. They are vital, but without substance, they are just smoke and mirrors. Hard skills are unyielding. They are objective metrics of utility. You either know how to write clean code, analyze complex financial models, build physical structures, negotiate contracts under pressure, or execute high-level tactical operations, or you do not. The market does not care about your feelings, your intentions, or your positive affirmations. It rewards only one thing: executed capability. When you possess a hard skill that is rare, valuable, and difficult to replicate, your entire psychology transforms. You no longer care if someone dislikes you. You no longer obsess over whether you are included in a social circle. You no longer panic when an unexpected crisis hits your career, because you know with absolute certainty that you carry an asset inside your mind and hands that the world requires. Competence is the ultimate security blanket. It turns anxiety into calm authority. To strip away your superficial insecurities, you must stop looking for validation and start hunting for friction. You need to anchor yourself to reality through the acquisition of a concrete, high-leverage craft. Starting today, you will initiate the 90-day hard-skill acquisition sprint. This is not a casual hobby or a light reading list. This is an intensive militaristic deployment of your focus into a single domain that demands cognitive or physical mastery. Step 1. Select the hard asset. Choose one specific, measurable skill that directly impacts your economic or intellectual sovereignty. It could be data analysis, advanced copywriting, a foreign language, structural engineering, coding, or high-level mechanical proficiency. If it doesn't cause mental fatigue and frustration during the first 2 weeks, it isn't hard enough. Step 2. Lock the curriculum. Gather the raw primary texts, technical documentation, or master blueprints for that skill. Eliminate all fluff, superficial tutorials, and entertainment-based learning. Step 3. Log the 100-hour threshold. Commit to logging a minimum of 100 hours of deep, unbroken execution over the next 90 days. Not passive consumption, active creation, testing, writing, building, and solving. Step 4. The reality test. At the end of the 90 days, you must produce a tangible output, a deployed application, a financial audit, a completed structural build, or a verified translation. If you cannot produce a tangible artifact of your learning, the sprint failed. In the first 20 days of this sprint, you will feel stupid. You will hit walls of confusion, frustration, and intellectual fatigue. Your brain will whisper that you aren't naturally talented enough for this and that you should quit and go back to comfortable entertainment. That friction is the exact sound of your insecurity being burned away. Every time you sit through the frustration, push past the confusion, and force your mind to master a complex mechanism, you are adding a heavy brick to your competence anchor. You are rewriting your internal trust ledger. When you finish those 90 days and hold a real skill in your hands, you will look at the world differently. The nervous need for approval will vanish, replaced by the quiet, heavy pride of a man who knows he can rely on his own mind to generate value in any environment. You are no longer faking competence. You have earned it. Yet, as your competence sharpens and your internal foundation solidifies, an interesting test arrives. You are no longer an anxious pursuer, and you are no longer an incompetent novice. You are a capable, focused builder. Now, the world will begin to press against your borders. People will notice your shift, and they will try to test your new gravity. How do you select who gets to enter your life, and how do you build alliances without letting the wrong people pull you back down into the mud? Chapter 10. Selective Gravity. How high-value men form high-value alliances. You have spent months walking alone in the dark. You stopped chasing affection, cut the anchors tied to your stagnation, mastered the silence of the empty room, and forged real, undeniable competence through hours of invisible labor. For the first time in your life, you are no longer a dependent ghost looking for a host. You are whole. You are self-contained. You carry your own gravity. Then an unexpected thing happens. As you walk through the world with your head down and your standards high, people begin to notice. Individuals who previously ignored you suddenly lean in closer. Acquaintances start asking for your roadmap. Peers drift into your orbit, seeking your partnership, your energy, and your presence. A sudden, dangerous temptation whispers in the back of your mind. I'm strong now. I don't need anyone. I should lock the gates, cut off humanity entirely, and live as an island. Cynicism is an easy trap for a man who has finally learned to stand alone. It feels safe to declare that everyone else is a liability, that all friendships are transactional, and that human connection is a weakness to be permanently eradicated. But true sovereignty is not isolation. Total misanthropy is not a sign of strength. It is simply a defensive phobia disguised as discipline. You were not built to spend your entire life in a solitary fortress. The danger is that when you emerge from your period of self-construction, your pendulum will swing too far. You will either relapse into your old desperate habit of letting anyone into your life just to feel warm, or you will slam the doors shut and become bitter, guarded, and cold. Both responses are errors. The objective is not to avoid human connection forever. The objective is to change the gravitational math of how you connect. Look at how ordinary people form relationships. They operate from a state of deficit. Two broken, insecure halves collide, clinging desperately to each other because neither can bear the thought of being alone. They use each other as emotional crutches, psychological shock absorbers, and distraction machines. They call this love or brotherhood, but it is actually mutual dependency masked as intimacy. The moment one person grows or stumbles, the fragile architecture collapses into drama, betrayal, and resentment. The only healthy foundation for human connection is two complete, sovereign units, choosing mutual alignment, not two broken halves seeking repair. When you are empty, every relationship is a rescue mission. When you are full, every relationship is an alliance. An alliance is built on shared vision, complementary competence, and unyielding character. It requires zero desperation. You do not need the other person to validate your existence. You choose them because their presence accelerates your mutual ascent. To filter, select, and interact with others without losing the sovereignty you fought so hard to build, you must stop operating with an open-door policy. You must install a rigorous architectural sorting system. From this day forward, you will apply the three-tier relational sorting framework. Picture your life as a secure citadel. You do not invite every stranger off the street into your command center. You manage access through distinct, well-guarded perimeters. Tier 3, the outer orbit, functional acquaintances. This tier comprises the vast majority of human interactions: colleagues, gym members, casual neighbors, and service providers. Your posture here is courteous, respectful, and entirely detached. You do not share your vulnerabilities, your long-term ambitions, or your private struggles with Tier 3. They are evaluated strictly on operational utility and baseline civility. If they bring chaos, you simply step back with a polite nod. Tier 2. Functional alliances, tactical peers. This is where professional partners, business collaborators, and high-level training brothers reside. Access to Tier 2 is earned through demonstrated competence, reliability, and shared standards. You do not bond over complaints or weekend escapism. You bond over shared execution. You build things together, push each other past plateaus, and hold each other accountable to elite metrics. If a Tier 2 partner begins to lag, lose integrity, or introduce drama, you downgrade them instantly back to the outer orbit. Tier 1, the inner sanctum, the sovereign core. This is the rarest tier in human existence. It consists of the 2 or 3 individuals, if you are fortunate enough to find them, who possess unshakable character, absolute loyalty, and deep mutual understanding. These are people who can sit with you in absolute silence without awkwardness, who celebrate your victories without envy, and who will look you in the eye and tell you the brutal truth when your ego starts to slip. You protect Tier 1 with your life because true brotherhood at this altitude is rarer than gold. Notice what this framework destroys: the middle ground of mediocre, draining friendships. You no longer have room in your life for people who are neither dangerous nor inspiring, the perpetual time wasters who consume your bandwidth with gossip, trivial complaints, and social static. When you implement this sorting system, your interactions undergo a profound qualitative shift. You stop performing. You stop trying to convince people to like you because you know your filters are doing the work for you. Yet even with a strict 3-tier framework installed, the world outside your citadel will occasionally test your perimeters. Toxic elements, energetic vampires, and manipulative personalities will try to slip past your gates, wrapping themselves in charm or false urgency. If your border defenses are passive, a single toxic intrusion can poison months of hard-won progress. How do you actively police your boundaries and ruthlessly eliminate energy leaks before they infect your command center? Chapter 11. Guarding the perimeter, protecting your peace at all costs. You have spent months pulling back your energy, locking yourself in the quiet room of solitude, building unbreakable daily anchors and forging real competence. You have tasted the profound clarity of a mind that no longer needs external applause to function. Then, reality tests your gates. A familiar acquaintance from your past drops a casual text out of nowhere, bringing a wave of frantic drama about a crisis they manufactured themselves. A relative calls you up, expecting you to spend 40 minutes listening to gossip and complaints. A digital notification pops up on your screen, designed entirely to pull you into an online outrage cycle that has zero bearing on your life. Notice the immediate physical reaction in your chest. A subtle spike of irritation, a heavy sensation of fatigue. You feel a familiar, polite reflex whispering that you should answer, that you shouldn't be rude, and that helping them out is just part of being a good person. If you surrender to that polite reflex, you throw open the gates of your citadel. Most people believe peace is a passive state of pleasant bubble of relaxation that happens automatically if you just think positive thoughts and ignore negativity. They treat peace like a fragile glass ornament sitting on a shelf, hoping nobody knocks it over. That delusion is why their peace is constantly shattered. Peace is not passive relaxation. Peace is an active, uncompromising military defense of your mental borders. If you do not guard your perimeter, the world will happily bankrupt your focus. People who refuse to build their own lives will instinctively target yours, looking to siphon your stability to manage their internal chaos. They do not care about your schedule, your deep work blocks, or your hard-earned mental clarity. Their entitlement is bottomless. To maintain your sovereignty, you must adopt the mindset of a fortress commander. Every unit of attention, every hour of your evening, and every ounce of your emotional bandwidth is a strategic asset. You cannot afford foreign aid to people who refuse to manage their own territory. When you allow minor energetic leaks to persist out of politeness, you are engaging in slow-motion self-sabotage. Consider how a structural engineer approaches a high-pressure hydraulic system. If a microscopic crack develops in a primary pipeline, a casual observer might say, "It's just a tiny drip, it doesn't matter." But the engineer knows better. Under immense operational pressure, that tiny drip compounds into a catastrophic fracture that ruins the entire machine. Your mind is a high-pressure operational system. When you tolerate a toxic group chat because you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, you introduce a hairline crack. When you pick up the phone for a chronically negative acquaintance who only uses you as an emotional dumping ground, you widen that fracture. By the time you sit down to execute your deep work block, your mental bandwidth is already flooded with other people's garbage. You wonder why you lack focus, why you feel drained, and why your discipline is slipping. You didn't fail because you lack willpower. You failed because your perimeter was porous. Guarding your perimeter was porous. Guarding your perimeter requires ruthless, unyielding discernment. You must realize that cutting toxicity out of your life is not an act of cruelty or arrogance. It is an act of supreme self-respect. You do not owe your presence, your time, or your emotional labor to anyone who compromises your operational stability. The moment someone demonstrates that they bring chronic drama, bad faith, or entitlement into your orbit, your response must be immediate and surgical. You do not negotiate with a leak, you seal it. Starting today, you will execute the energy leak elimination protocol across 3 distinct operational zones. Zone 1, the digital perimeter. Open your devices and perform a ruthless sweep. Unsubscribe from every mailing list that doesn't directly serve your craft or education. Turn off 100% of non-human push notifications. Every news flash, social alert, and gaming ping must be silenced permanently. Leave your phone in another room when you are engaged in deep execution. Your screen should be a tool you pick up with intent, not a slot machine that summons you at will. Zone 2, the environmental perimeter. Look at your physical workspace and living quarters. Are there items, visual clutter, or half-finished projects screaming for your attention? Clear the decks. A chaotic, disorganized environment leaks subtle cognitive friction into your background processing. Your physical space must reflect the absolute order of your internal command center. Zone 3, the relational perimeter. Audit your communication logs over the past 30 days. Identify every contact who consistently leaves you feeling depleted, annoyed, or manipulated. Mute their notifications. Step back from their dramas with absolute, polite finality. If they demand an explanation for your distance, refer back to the sacred rule: zero justification. You are simply reallocating your life toward construction. When you execute this sweep, you will feel an extraordinary sense of lightness. The background static that has been quietly draining your processing power for years vanishes. Your mind becomes astonishingly clear, sharp, and lethal in its focus. You realize how much mental energy you were wasting simply managing other people's expectations. People will test your new perimeter. They will push, probe, and try to guilt you back into your old accommodating patterns. Hold the line. Do not argue, do not get angry, and do not explain. Let your silence be the wall they break themselves against. When you protect your peace with military precision, you stop being a victim of circumstance and become the absolute master of your environment. Yet, clearing the perimeter and defending the walls is only the external manifestation of sovereignty. The final, ultimate victory is not won against external intrusions, toxic contacts, or digital noise. It is won in the quietest, most hidden chamber of your own consciousness. What happens when you stand completely alone at the apex of your journey, facing the final, greatest battle of your existence? It is time to master the ultimate freedom. Chapter 12. The Sovereign Builder. Mastering yourself and owning your future. Stand in front of the mirror tonight and look closely at the man reflected back at you. A year ago, that reflection belonged to an anxious, reactive ghost. He was a man whose mood was dictated by the ping of an unread text message, whose schedule was hijacked by the demands of people who did not respect him, and whose self-worth rose and fell depending on the fickle, hollow applause of a digital crowd. He ran from silence because the quiet room exposed the hollowness of his foundation. He negotiated his standards because he was terrified of being left alone. He chased affection, justified his choices to casual critics, and leaked his life's energy into 1,000 trivial directions. Look at that man now. Where did he go? He didn't vanish overnight in a cinematic explosion of motivation. He was systematically dismantled, brick by painful brick, and replaced by something permanent. You no longer check your screen with a sinking feeling in your chest. You no longer over-explain your boundaries to people who refuse to understand your path. You no longer tolerate the slow poison of toxic acquaintances, digital static, or chaotic environments. When the evening arrives and the apartment goes completely silent, you do not reach for a digital pacifier to drown out your own presence. You step into the quiet room like a commander entering his tactical headquarters. You have walked the long, unglamorous road from an external pursuer to an internal sovereign. Yet, as you stand at this summit, a final, crucial realization must settle into your bones. This is not a destination. It is a baseline. Most people spend their entire lives fighting external wars. They battle their employers, their government, their economic conditions, their partners, and their social circles, believing that if they could just manipulate the external world into alignment, they would finally find peace. They remain lifelong soldiers fighting ghosts, completely blind to the true theater of conflict. The greatest battle in human life has never been out there in the world. It is the quiet, unyielding conflict waged every single day inside the architecture of your own mind. It is the friction between the man you are right now and the masterclass version of yourself waiting to be forged through relentless, invisible execution. True freedom is not the absence of rules, responsibilities, or resistance. Freedom is total, unquestioned command over your own impulses, direction, and standards. When you possess self-mastery, you become completely unplayable to the world. You cannot be bought with cheap praise, you cannot be broken by sudden crises, and you cannot be manipulated by social guilt. If the economy collapses, if your industry shifts, or if every person you know walks out of your life tomorrow, your internal engine does not stutter. You look at the rubble, adjust your operational parameters, and start building again from the ground up. You carry your own center of gravity. As you step forward from this chapter into the rest of your existence, you leave behind the noise of the crowd, the desperation of the pursuer, and the performance trap of the broadcast. You enter the world as a sovereign builder. Your life is no longer an accident of circumstance or a reaction to other people's demands. It is a deliberate, engineered construct built with your own hands in the dark. Before you close this book and step back into the arena of your daily life, you will anchor this new identity into tangible reality. Draft your personal sovereign operating charter. Take out a blank piece of physical paper and a pen. Write down your non-negotiable personal code across 3 unbendable pillars. 1. The standard. Define the exact baseline of your daily execution, your physical conditioning, your cognitive depth blocks, and your economic craft. State what you will do every single day, regardless of weather, mood, or motivation. 2. The boundary. Define what crosses the perimeter. State clearly how you will respond to manipulation, drama, and unearned demands, absolute silence, zero justification, and immediate elimination. 3. The identity. Write down the exact character of the man you are committing to become. Not a wish list of future outcomes, but a declaration of present tense conduct. I am a sovereign builder. I do not chase. I do not beg. I execute in silence. Guard my peace with military precision, and let my results speak. Sign the bottom of the page with your full name and date it. Fold it, place it inside your workspace, and never look back. The room is quiet. The path is clear. Put down the headphones, close the screen, step out into the world, and start laying your heavy bricks.